What's going on, everyone? Alan and Elfie here, aka the Bird Bay. Just wanted to talk a little bit more about Elfie's indoor free flight journey from basically getting him about 2.5 years ago when he was 8, an adult rehome bird technically, with kind of naturally just skittish behavior up until now, where his wings have grown out and he's getting better and better every day at indoor free flight. But before I talk about that, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button so that you can get notified when more of these awesome videos that you enjoy come out. And just support, like the video, share it if you can. The more people that watch this, the less birds will be rehomed in the long term, and that's really the goal with the channel. I just thought it would be super interesting, or at least a good learning lesson, or in case you guys were curious of learning more about Elfie's journey from when I got him, basically leading up to indoor free flight and him getting better at indoor recalling and such. Only because I know that many of you have small parrots as well, or even larger parrots, and you probably have a similar goal of having your parrot be able to fly indoors. Maybe long term you're looking to do outdoor free flight, but for me with Elfie, it was really the goal to get him to do indoor free flight and recall, because I wanted him to get more exercise. Naturally, parrots in the wild, they fly around, they forage for food. When we bring them into these new environments, they're inside most of the time, and as a result, they get less exercise. We, lock them up, give them some more food, and basically, reduce their exercise drastically, which leads to sometimes problems and behavior issues in parrots, or them just kind of naturally getting more overweight, so to speak. So anyway, to go back to Elfie's story, basically I got him 2.5 years ago, which was really interesting, and he was naturally a very shy and skittish bird. He technically kind of is now. So a lot of the issues were just making Elfie more confident and gaining more trust with him before doing any type of indoor recall or training. So I guess the first step that I naturally did was basically making sure that we started establishing a bond and making sure that he was comfortable in his new environment, getting him set up to do target training and clicker training so that we had a bridge and a form of communication, right? So the first thing I did was making sure that he got comfortable in his new environment, making sure that I was giving him enough quality time and hanging out with him throughout the day. Now, most people think that just because you have a parrot and they're outside of the cage, that is the equivalent of spending quality time with your parrot, and quality time really is making sure that you're interacting with your parrot and that you have that bond that you're working toward building, and just taming and reducing aggression. That's definitely going to be the first step before any type of recall training and stuff like that. And even if your parrot has clipped wings or has been clipped in the past or doesn't know how to fly, like, they can still learn indoor recall. So Elfie, I later learned that he was basically learning how to fly with me. He had never flown before. So basically the first step was making sure he got used to me, building that bond so that naturally he likes me and he wants to be around me, right? Not as soon as he can fly, tries to fly away, or finds flying as a way to just escape his environment or run away from me. I definitely didn't want that. So build a bond with your parrot. Make sure that you are clicker training and target training in the very beginning, and just you'll know when your parrot is a little bit more tame and likes to be around you and doesn't have behavior issues. Like, that's the first step. Come here, buddy. Touch. Good bird. Oh, good bird, buddy. Yeah, you like the snacks, huh? Nom 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 nom. From there, what I basically did was have Elfie go from my hand with my target and my clicker in my hand and have him walk over to my hand, step up, which is the first step, and then touch the target and then click. And what I naturally did was kind of go a little bit further and further. And because he is a little bit more skittish, in the beginning I just got far enough away to where he could barely reach over, and had to basically hop or jump to get onto my hand. And that was the hardest part really in the indoor recall, was once we established that, he went from stepping up to my hand, touching the target, getting a reward for that, and then he naturally progressed into jumping as a little hop to get to my hand. Come here. Good bird. And then from there, it kind of evolved into, smaller flights, smaller recall flights, which is, A to B, and him going from, his perch to a little bit farther. And basically this whole process that I had with Elfie took incremental steps. And I was working with him about, 5 to 10 minutes in 2 sessions a day, sometimes for like 5 days a week. I would just make sure that, the weekends were just kind of time for him to relax. Another important thing to set yourself up for success that I learned with Elfie was that I had to make sure that he was motivated enough to want to come to me, right? That's a big thing for Elfie. Sometimes if I don't have food, like he just won't come, and there's some parrots that are going to be like that, which it is what it is. I just love the idea of, hearing a parrot's wings flap and the sound that they make and the joy that I feel personally from them just coming over to me and coming to me when I call them, even if it is with some treats in the beginning. But anyway, with that being said, A to B flights, make sure that your parrot is going to be motivated. So with Elfie, I had to change his diets, and I am guilty in the beginning. I didn't know any better. So he was basically eating what I got from him. When I got him, I got a certain type of food for Elfie where I purchased him at a bird store, which was a seed and nut combination. So I had to remove him from that and transfer over him to a pelleted diet, and that greatly improved the sessions and motivation because of the fact that now I was using seeds and nuts as rewards that he didn't get access to all day. That definitely helped, and just timing it so that he was hungrier. Like right now, it's later in the afternoon. He's going to be more motivated to want to fly to me because he hasn't eaten aside from breakfast. That's important that I learned about indoor recall and flight training with Elfie. So basically it was a progression of steps, making sure that Elfie had a bond with me, making sure he had the right diet, motivation, and sleep, and then from there making sure that he was doing small A to B recalls. And then gradually I took it a step further and further. Now, interestingly enough, a lesson to be learned is if your parrot is not ready for something, or it might be a little bit intimidated, what happened with me and Elfie is, I would push it a little too far sometimes, and I'd be too far, and he would fly to me, but sometimes miss my hand, and then because he didn't really know how to fly and steer, he would kind of panic, fly around, and like land on the couch or on the carpeted floor or something. And this is basically going to be a sign that you probably took your training session a little bit too far. That's not a problem. What you want to do is take a step back to where he was flying to you and reset from there.
So here I have Elfie on a basic recall A to B, a few feet away. He comes to me. As soon as he comes, I'm clicking and rewarding and giving a little bit of a positive affirmation for doing a good job. One thing that I also try to do is target him back to perch, or show him how to go back to perch. That way he has a safe landing spot on where to go on a consistent basis. And we click and reward. Next, I'm going into descending flight. So descending flight really helps your parrot learn how to land. This is a good precursor to, I think, outdoor free flight. If you're trying to call your parrot from a high perched area, trying to call them from a tree, so that they start developing the confidence and the skill set to come down, because it is a little bit scary for a new parrot that has never flown before. And we are targeting Elfie back to his perch, and I'm doing another descending flight recall that he does successfully. And now to practice ascending flight, which is going upwards. This really helps your parrot develop wing strength and that chest muscle, because it is harder to go up, although it's not as difficult as descending. That is ideal for the parrot to learn that. And now one thing that I always note to do, or try to note to do, is to let your parrot, or in this case let Elfie, finish his treat before you call him again. That way you're not calling him while he's still eating, because he's not going to come. Now for a longer flight across the room, so letting him finish. And you see how instantly when I call him, within 3 seconds he's coming over, and I'm clicking. That's what we call an ideal recall there, where you call and he comes, and we want to work our way up. You might not get that right away, but that's not a problem at all. We build up to it. Now I'm calling Elfie on a descending flight recall. It comes right away. So interesting thing to note that it's easier for your parrot to descend and come toward you from a farther distance than it is for them to come to you when you're right in front of them, because they basically have to jump and almost free fall. Now I'm sending Elfie back to perch. Ideally, you don't want to ask your parrot to come or go somewhere more than twice when you are having them either come to you or go back to perch. You see how Elfie is not really as responsive to going to perch. Usually he does it right away, but it's because there's a big old camera that he's scared of and a big old light right behind him. So I can see why he's not coming necessarily. Now, the next step here is I'm calling Elfie to come through the door where he can see me. And this type of flight recall helps work on your parrot's maneuvering skills and turning skills, which are also important in the indoor free flight, to be able to navigate and learn how to use their wings and steer around the house. So this is a little bit more of an advanced move. I didn't really do this yet until he really got the A to B's down solid. If you notice a mistake I make here, I'm trying to call Elfie while he's still eating. So hope you guys caught that. You want to wait till your parrot's done, and ideally you don't want to call more than 2 times for them to come. Now I'm a little bit farther away to where he can't see me, and I'm going to call him.
Elfie. Good bird, buddy. You did it.
So proud of Elfie for learning how to do this on his own.
Elfie.
Now doing some more A to B recall. Came right when I asked him. This is what we call a level 9 out of 10 motivation for your parrot to come to you.
You go to perch.
Send him to his perch. He goes right away. And notice something interesting happens. Elfie does a little fly off, and super sad to see and unfortunate. Did you notice that Elfie just kind of took off on his own, and I hadn't asked him to come? This can sometimes happen, and I want you guys to see what a small mishap or failure looks like. Notice that he comes over and I click and reward. I'm basically letting him know, hey, I'm not going to come get you. So if you were to get stuck in a tree, you got to come to me. So even though he kind of took off on his own and didn't come when I asked him to, because he crashed, I still want to reward him for coming back to me. And you never want to end a session with your parrot crashing or not listening to you or going somewhere else, because this is going to be a reinforcer for the next session. So knowing this and having failed many times myself, I'm trying to call Elfie back. And if you notice, he's really kind of not that interested in having him fly, or he doesn't really want to fly over to me. You notice that? Calling him, that's probably about the limit. Clearly, he's probably mad that he crashed. So notice what I do here. I do what's called minus reinforcement. I just kind of ignore him and turn my back. When parrots turn their back, that's kind of the equivalent of the birdie middle finger. So it's basically saying, hey, I'm no longer paying attention to you. You lost your opportunity to earn your treat. So then we wait a couple seconds, 15, 20, 30 seconds, and we reset. So notice how, even though I'm kind of breaking my own rule of calling him multiple times, it's because I don't want to end the session with him crashing. So I'm not giving up, being persistent. So we end positive. I move a little closer for his confidence. And there it is. He comes, which is perfect. And, sometimes these scenarios happen, but I wanted you guys to see on the fly what it looks like sometimes when parrots have mishaps, and it's okay to fail. We just have to know what to do. So I'm going to do a few more here to end it on the positive note. And, toward this stage of the recall, it's probably going to be a good time to end the session. Usually these recall sessions are going to be no more than 3 to 5 minutes in the beginning. As your parrot gets stronger and better at flying, you still only want to keep them around 5 to 7 minutes. But, this is what I call a good session overall.
Now, I will say this. These sessions took weeks, months for him because he was so shy and learning as an adult. It took weeks and months for him to go from, short A to B recalls to longer A to B recalls to learning how to descend, taking a knee and having him learn how to descend, to basically teaching him how to ascend as well. So it all comes in increments. You don't want to rush it. And as long as you keep your, training sessions to around 5 minutes in the beginning, it's going to be a great place for you to succeed with indoor recall training with your parrot, kind of like I did with Elfie. So that was kind of the natural progression that I made. And then from there, I was basically teaching him how to fly through the door where he could see me and teaching him how to turn, right? So now he's at a point where I can call him from another room close by. He listens to my voice, he flies, turns the corner through the door and comes to me, right? This is going to be a little bit more advanced. And basically what you want to do and how I would define success for indoor recall is basically being able to call your parrot from any place in the house, perching them up on top of the refrigerator when you feel like they're ready or something like that, or the cabinets or down on the floor, and calling him or her and having them come to you within the first 1 or 2 times that you call them. Ideally within 3 seconds of you calling them, they fly right to you, they land on you, and you click and reward for that behavior. And that's kind of where we're at with Elfie now. We're in the later stages of that. So I just wanted to share kind of that free flight journey, indoor free flight and recall journey that I had with Elfie and the progressions. And I also wanted to share a couple mistakes I made along the way. One of them being pushing maybe Elfie too far in the beginning and not learning how to read the signs that he probably wasn't ready. Things like me calling him over from across the room, he's coming to my hand, and then he panics because he can't land, and he does a couple circles and lands on the couch. What you don't want to do is push your parrot too far to where they feel like the sessions are too exhausting in indoor recall, especially in the beginning, or you end on a bad note where maybe, let's say, your parrot crashes and lands on the floor and you end it there. Then they start associating you or training in free flight indoors with crashing or feeling panic. So it's really important to read your parrot's body language and kind of know how far to push it. And the general rule of thumb is, when you get really excited and you feel good about your parrot doing something you want, and you kind of are like, hey, I want to do another and I want to push for more, that's probably a good sign that it's time to end the session and you want to end on a positive note, right? So those are some of the lessons that I learned with Elfie, aside from the motivation, the proper diet, the proper sleep, those incremental steps that you want. And really the goal is to develop your parrot's wing muscles as you progress through this, because if they haven't flown, especially as adults, and they don't have that muscular chest to be able to sustain long-term flights, you're going to want to build that up. So think of it as exercise, and the most important thing is always going to be consistency when you train your parrot in indoor recall. What I would suggest a good indoor recall session looks like, you call your parrot within 3 seconds of them coming to you, you click as soon as they land, and you can send them back to their perch, and that's going to be a good session there. Now as you start to advance, you're gonna put yourself up on higher spots, like I do. For example, I stand on a little stool, make Elfie go higher. Sometimes I get low to the ground to practice descending, ascending, A to B, and then working on the turns, so that Elfie basically learns how to use his wings to maneuver and steer himself, right? So those are just a couple tips that I wanted to share with you guys in terms of Elfie's free flight story, indoor free flight, and what's really worked for him, some of the lessons that I've learned. And if you guys have any questions on that, post them in the comment section, and I'm just curious to learn more about where you are with your parrot and their free flight journey. What are you guys currently working on? What are you struggling with, right? Let me know in the comment section. And feel free to check out Elfie and I's Instagram in the comment section below. Would be awesome to have you check out our Instagram. And as always, if there's any topics you want me to cover, let me know in the comment section as well. And keep up the good work. Till next time.